Hi there. So I thought I would chat a wee bit today about returning to work after having COVID and while still having long COVID. I realise it's something that quite a few people have asked me about, and I thought that if I made a wee video, then that would be helpful. So I actually yesterday was my 6 month COVID anniversary. So 6 months since I first uh, got COVID, and since I went off work, I was off work for 4 months and tried to get back to work every single week. And fortunately was told no, I wasn't fit enough. And it did take me a long time to kind of accept that I wasn't going to be fit for work at that point in time. It was also obviously very worrying about, like, am I going to get back to that level where I can go back to work and do my job efficiently and kind of like as well as I did it before. But I guess everyone has anxieties about that. So and everyone has completely different jobs, and your roles and responsibilities will vary from job to job. So obviously some might be more physical, um, intense, some might be more kind of cognitive intense. Um, Obviously, depending on what your long COVID symptoms are, that'll depend on how suitable you are to go back to work, or at what point in time you're going to go back to work. Because like I do a very physical job, but it is also very cognitively straining in terms of trying to get information and then having to problem solve. Um, so it took me 4 months before I could actually safely return to work. And even then, that that was and that still is a very graded exposure to different aspects of my work to make sure that I'm safe to do each component of it before I move on to another more complex task, if that makes sense. So, for example, the very first week that I started back at work, I did 4 hours one morning, and then I took a full day off, and then 4 hours later in the week. I think I did a Tuesday and a Thursday. I worked from home, and I think I spent the majority of the week going through like emails, because obviously I'd been off for 4 months, so I had a lot of admin type work that I had to do, and I couldn't believe how tiring that was. And I needed the time. I needed the time in between those days where I was working to recover. And it just totally kind of it was a challenge, but it was also really interesting to see what I was capable of doing. Um, Second week, I did 2 half days, and I tried to do a full day. The full day didn't happen at all. I think it took about an hour for my lunch, and even then, I was kind of like getting headaches halfway through the day, because it was just a lot for my head to take in and for my brain to process. But by the time I got to the third week, I found doing those admin style tasks a lot easier. And then I went on to doing a wee bit of kind of face to face interaction with work colleagues as opposed to patients. So I did the face to face interaction with work colleagues, which was again tiring, because you're having to think about conversation. You're physically having to get to the office. So at that point, I had to do a 30-minute drive to get to the office, and then had to factor in what exactly I was doing that day, because I had to remember that I had a half-hour drive home. So again, I think that week, the way it was all scheduled was it was going to be like 3 days in a row, but it was going to be an office day, a home day, and then an office day. And then I would have like a long weekend to recover. But it's just all about experimenting, because you have no idea what is going to work for you until you try it. But at the same time, you need to be very, very mindful, and you need to speak with your employer and with your GP to make sure that you're not overdoing it, because if you try and do too much too soon, you're just going to end up back off work. And then you're going to have to go back to the start at some point and try and do it all over again. I guess the only good thing from that is that you'll learn from your mistakes, but you don't want to make those mistakes in the first place, especially when, like, for somebody like myself, I've been off for so long and I just thought, I just want to get back to my work and I just want to feel useful again. So really thinking about like what you can do and doing it all in stages. So I did kind of like a phased return initially over like 6 weeks. Went from 8 hours at the start, built it up to about 26 hours, realized 26 hours was too much. And now I've bumped it down to 24 hours. But the way that I structure my work now, I've tried doing like starting first thing in like early morning. I've tried starting later in the day. I've tried just doing like the middle chunk of the day. I've tried to do a full day. I know that a full day at the moment still is not achievable for me. So at the moment, what I've managed to work up to and managed to sustain is 24 hours. And the way that I work that at the moment is I'm doing 4 short days. So I basically start my work at 10 o'clock in the morning, finish my work at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm doing that a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So I'm taking a full day off in the middle of the week just to break it up. Obviously, with the way things have gone the last couple of weeks, with it being like public holidays, I thought I'm not going to take 2 days off my week to try and I'm just going to kind of stick to what I'm doing. So I've utilized the public holidays at either end, which means that I've been doing 4 short days in a row, back to back. And I did find that tiring. And actually, to be honest, the Easter weekend was a godsend in the sense of I had 4 days off to recover, but I needed it because I felt great during the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I still felt so good on the Thursday that I decided to do too much, way too much. I ended up doing like an Easter egg hunt for my patients. I ended up doing an Easter egg hunt for the staff. I was just on a high. I went and I just did way too much, and I came home and I was just buzzing, and then I crashed that evening, and until I went back to work on the Tuesday, I had like multiple naps over the weekend. When I say I crashed, I just struggled to focus, struggled to function, struggled to concentrate. All these things I wanted to do at the weekend, I was like, I can't do any of them, because if I try and do any of that, I'm not going to be able to go back to work next week. So I had a proper rest weekend. So you really need to factor in the days that you're not at work. You need to be able to function and not overdo it so it doesn't affect you going back to work. I guess the kind of upside of that at the moment is the fact that we are still under lockdown restrictions in terms of what we can and cannot do. So I guess that whole social work balance isn't like, I think work would be my priority anyway. So I'm currently prioritizing in order to stay at work. So my social interaction has dropped dramatically, but at the same time, I'm the kind of person that would usually be doing lots of exercise and taking classes and things. So I'm not teaching any classes at the moment. I'm doing self-care in terms of doing a little bit of yoga for myself to make sure that I look after my body, and I'm still building on increasing and improving my strength and my cardiovascular system, because I need a level of physical fitness in order to carry out my job. So I can't be walking alongside one of my patients and say, can we stop, because I need a rest. It's just, they would look at me and think, what is wrong with you? And I am completely honest. I did debate initially, do I tell patients that I have long COVID? How are people going to react to me when I say that? I think, to be honest, the majority of people, the first thing they say is, you've had COVID, so are you still infectious? Can I still catch it off you? And I'm like, no, you can't. Don't panic. So I definitely think honesty is the best policy, and I'm upfront with people and say, look, just so you're aware, I have had COVID. I am still suffering with long COVID. So if I start yawning, or if I lose track of what I'm saying, or stop or forget something, then please don't worry. I'm perfectly capable of doing my job, and everything that I'm saying to you is correct. It just might take me a little bit longer of a thought process to get to where I would usually get to in a shorter frame of time. It takes me that wee bit longer. Or if I end up repeating myself because I've forgotten that I've said something, then please tell me, or just be aware that there's a reason why I'm doing that, because I'm trying to be thorough, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm getting all of the information across to you. And to be honest, all of my patients have been fantastic. The nice thing about where I work, so I've actually changed job in amongst me having COVID, going back to work, and now. So I had to interview when I was off sick with long COVID, and the interview itself was just, fortunately, I was able to tell the panel prior to the interview that what my symptoms were. So it highlighted to them exactly what it was to be looking out for, and the fact that a lot of my words at the time were coming out very disjointed, and I would forget words, or I would come across as if like having long pauses of before I would get into my flow, and then as I started speaking, I would get out everything that I needed to say. So I've actually changed job so don't let that put you off going for jobs having long COVID. You can still change job. You can go for your dream job. I'm in my dream job right now, and I cannot believe it, and I'm so happy. And I feel that actually being back at work has really helped with my journey, with my progress, with my improvement of how I was and how I am now. As you can tell, I still do get my words mixed up sometimes. I still have that kind of pause, staring off into space. I still forget things. My brain fog has been horrendous this week, but I know why, because I did too much last week. So I can pinpoint what it is that I've done wrong and what I need to avoid. Because certainly also, like, once I started doing patient interaction, I was like, whoa, like, this is intense, this is tiring. You don't realize how tiring it is until you do it. But the important thing is that I've done everything so gradually that I've been able to know exactly what my triggers are. So if I'm at work and I start to get tired, I'll either get a headache or I will start yawning, which sets everyone else off. The fact that I've got a mask on, it's not as obvious, but you can't, if you're yawning, you're yawning. You can't exactly really hide it. What else did I get? I get I physically tremor, and or if I'm sitting down, I tend to always kind of come up on my toes, and you'll see like my leg, my knee bouncing. But otherwise, I like physically shaking my hands. And the other thing is my brain fog comes on and gets really bad. So I'll just start like kind of not being able to find my words. But I'm aware of it. So I can be like, do you know, I need to take 10 minutes and I can switch. I can get one of my colleagues to come and keep an eye on my patient, or if it's closer to like the end of the patient session, then I would once I'm finished with the person and they've left, I would say to my colleagues that I need to go for a lie down and close my eyes for 20 minutes. And you would be amazed, like genuinely just taking yourself out of an environment and into like a wee quiet space where you can just lie down, you can close your eyes. Don't necessarily need to actually go to sleep, but you can just totally zone out. I've tried doing a wee bit of mindfulness, which again helps because it helps just switch your brain off, because I'm the kind of person, my brain goes like 100 miles an hour. So even when I'm not doing anything, I'm thinking, I need to do that and I need to remember to do that. And I have that written down in my list and I've not done this yet. And as soon as I get up, I need to go and do this. So to have those like 10, 20 minutes where you can switch off and just say, I just need my mind to stop. Or you can just go for a nap. I've done both. I prefer the nap. Who wouldn't? But you can't, sometimes just being able to switch the brain off is enough. I'm trying to think. Yeah, so at the moment I'm up to 24 hours. I've managed to do that actually for the last, I don't know how many weeks, I can't remember. I went back to work at the start of February. We're now into April. Oh, I have no idea. Anyway, I've been back at work for a couple of months. I've done like 6 weeks of my phase return. I've probably done another 5, 6, who knows, doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm managing to do that 24 hours. I've been doing that probably for roughly the last 5, 6 weeks. And I'm managing to maintain it. So my next stage would be, I'm going to continue that until like the end of the month, maybe start of May. And then I'm going to jump up to, and then I'm going to go up to 30 hours. But the way that I'm going to do that, not decided yet, I might try 2 different ways. The way I'm going to do that is either to do 4 full days or 5 short days. But I'm thinking I'm going to go with 4 full days to start with. The nice thing is that you can work around it. It's specific to you, what you're physically capable of, because at the end of the day, your boss does not want you to go back off. So they should accommodate around you. They should work around you. I have been very, very fortunate that my GP's been fantastic and my employers have been brilliant. So I've got a really good team around me and my support system is fab. But at the end of the day, everything comes down to you, how you feel and what you're able to physically manage. Because if you're coming to work, going home and sleeping for like until the next day and you go to work, how functional is that? And is that just going to become a vicious cycle of you eventually get to a stage where you can't go to work? So it's really about finding what hours work for you. The other nice thing about me staying at 24 hours for a prolonged period of time means that I can try and do some additional things outside of work. So for example, I've managed to do 3 runs in the last month, albeit short runs, like 3.5 kilometers, but I've managed that on 3 separate occasions across a month. And I'm so happy that I've not had any repercussions from that. And the only reason I haven't done another run, because I was trying to do 1 a week, the only reason I haven't done another run is because last week I felt totally, last weekend, this week basically, when I should have done another run, I couldn't. There's no way, if I'd done that, I probably would have ended up having to call in sick to work, and I wasn't going to be doing that because I love my work and I want to stay at work. So it's just being mindful of what compromises you need to make in your working life and in your personal life. I hope that what I've said there helps. As I say, don't let long COVID be the reason why you don't go for another job, because I have actually gone from a very busy job to a job that's more suitable for my current lifestyle, my current needs. So it's not as fast paced, it's not as intense. It's something that I can do at my own my own pace, and I can bring people in when I feel capable of doing so. So I would say communication is key. Listen to your body. Take notes of what you're doing, because I've certainly done that, and I found that that's really helped. I've certainly gone from like a total writing every single thing down I'm doing, both, well, not really in work, mainly out of work, and said like how many hours I did at work and whether or not it was patient contact or non-clinical. And now I don't do that. I basically just write down if there's something monumental that happened that week, or maybe I changed things and I did 4 days in a row instead of the 2 on, 1 off, 2 on. So that I'm then writing a wee couple of sentences about how I felt that week, because otherwise it's time consuming to sit and write down everything, and then how often going back and looking at that. So it really depends on what works for you as to what you're writing down, what you're going back and looking at, and how you're feeling. So I'm more so just writing down now whether or not I've managed something new that day, something additional, or if I've maybe felt rubbish and why I felt rubbish. Can I pinpoint what it is that made me feel crap? Yeah, so I realised this is a wee bit of a longer video, and I'm sorry because I was going to try and keep them short, but I thought that returning to work was something that I've been asked a few times, so I thought I'd make a video, and I hope that helps. Okay, if you have any other things that you want me to comment on, or I say comment, if you've got any other things that you want me to talk about in relation to my long COVID journey, then please comment and let me know so that I can think of something to say in a video. I am going to speak about the vaccine in my next video because I've had both of my vaccines, and I know that some people have reservations over getting the vaccine if they still have symptoms. So I'm going to speak about that in my next video. But anything else you're wanting to know that I haven't already covered, please comment below and let me know. I hope that this has been helpful, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. Okay, hope you have a lovely weekend. Thank you. Bye.